Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. My name is Jane and today I want to talk about some things that are not goth. People have been calling things goth lately that just really aren't. I've even seen some people call Jojo Siwa goth. Like, that is just too much. So I just want to educate you guys on some things that are often called goth that actually aren't. So I'm gonna name some things, and this video is mostly made to like educate people, to inform some people about the goth subculture. And I'm not here to gatekeep people, to tell them like you can be goth if you like these things or whatever. People lately have been calling like pretty much anything that is different or that is dark or that is like, you know, alternative. They've been calling that goth, when it just actually is not at all. Now, I understand that it would be easier to say what is goth instead of saying what isn't goth. So at the end of the video, I will tell you some things that are actually goth and what the whole subculture is about. But first, I just want to name some things that I've seen a lot and that people keep calling goth, which gives us goths kind of a reputation for being something that we just aren't, because some things are just labeled in the wrong way, which makes us look like something totally different than we actually are. By the way, what do you guys think about my new hair color? I asked some people on Instagram if I should dye my hair pink, and most of the people said yes, so I actually did it. I know it's not perfect, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. I do really love it. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And also follow my Instagram because I post updates there, behind the scenes things, and things like should I dye my hair or should I not. So yeah, go follow my Instagram. I do not really have a lot of followers yet, but I will be using it for like Q&As. So do follow me if you're interested in that. So first I want to talk about some artists and bands and music that people think is goth when it isn't, because there's a lot of misconceptions about this, and it happens to me a lot that when I tell people that I'm goth or when they see that I'm goth, they assume that I'm like a fan of a certain artist, when that just totally isn't a goth thing. So firstly, a very common misconception is that goth music is all rock and all metal, like any heavy music. But it isn't. Metal and rock isn't necessarily goth. There is goth rock and goth metal, but it's not like every rock band and every metal band is considered goth music. So even though I do like rock music and metal music, that isn't what makes me goth. So just want to make that clear, because a lot of people do think that just any rock music, any heavy music is considered goth. So a few years ago, when I was still in high school, a classmate of mine found out that I was a goth. So they asked me, okay, you're a goth, so you're a fan of Billie Eilish, right? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm sure a lot of people love her music. It's not my thing, really. But Billie Eilish isn't goth. I don't know if she is as a person, I don't think so. But her music definitely is not goth music. And for some reason, a lot of people do see her as goth and do see her music as goth because it's different. And it's kind of, you know, it can be kind of dark or whatever. But it isn't goth, she isn't goth, and I am not a fan of Billie Eilish. So another one is Lil Peep. Now, I do listen to Lil Peep because I love his music, but his music is more like emo rap or whatever. I don't even exactly know what it is, but also not goth music. I understand that a lot of people confuse him for a goth because he does look really gothic, alternative, and he does mention the goth boy clique in his lyrics a lot. So I do understand why people would think that he is goth, that his music is goth, but it isn't. Lil Peep is not goth music, and a lot of people just keep thinking that anything and anyone that looks alternative or different or whatever is goth or is that type of music, but no. It isn't. I will tell you what it does sound like and what kind of artists and bands are actually goth at the end of this video. So if you don't understand me now, just you'll see at the end of the video what I mean with what is actual goth music. So there's a few more bands that have often been called goth and that a lot of people think is the thing that goths listen to. I was talking to my brother a while back and we were talking about Deftones, and he said, yeah, that's like the typical goth music, right? And no, it isn't. Deftones, Korn, Slipknot, often confused for being goth, they are not. They are more like, I don't know specifically the music genre because I'm not really an expert at like what type of music is what, but it's more like alternative metal, new metal, kind of that sort of thing. But it is still not a goth kind of genre. However, a lot of alternative people and goths also do listen to those bands a lot, so I understand why there's a lot of confusion, because a lot of people, like me for example, I do love listening to Korn. I actually have tickets for a concert of Korn in like August, so I do love their music, but it's not the typical goth music. So there's also a lot of confusion, especially in non-alternative people, about what subculture is what. Because a lot of people think that emo, punk, grunge, and goth are the exact same thing. Well, that isn't exactly true, because those are all different types of subcultures, mostly based on music. And those music types sound a lot different. I cannot really provide any examples because I am also not a pro at emo music, punk music, whatever. But you can look them up, and if you're ever listening to a band, just look up what kind of type of music there are, so you know kind of what you're listening to and like what kind of subculture you might belong to, or you might want to belong to. But like, not every alternative person is necessarily emo or goth or punk or whatever. And people often ask me, how do I see the difference between them? And the problem is, you cannot really see the difference, because their subcultures are mostly based on music. And even though alternative people do like to dress a bit different, the styles can often kind of look similar, because everyone is different and everyone in a certain subculture is different. They look different, they have different hair, they wear different makeup. Every single individual person looks different, so you cannot really say that if people look that way, they must be emo or they must be punk or whatever. There are certain things that are really associated with, for example, emos often have like those, you know, those side bangs kind of thing, and goths often look more kind of Victorian or have the dread goth makeup, that sort of thing. But not everyone looks that exact way. There's also a lot of similar things in these kind of alternative cultures, like dark makeup, dyed hair, black clothing, or like more alternative clothing. Demonias are often worn by a lot of different alternative people, and I could totally be emo with this look. Like, you don't know. So the way to know if someone is emo, goth, punk, grunge, whatever, or scene, anything, is by asking them. Just ask them, are you goth? Are you emo? What are you? Because you cannot see it on someone, but you can just ask them, because that person often knows what they want to associate with, what kind of music-based subculture they want to belong to. So just ask the person and do not assume that they are part of any subculture. I often do get called an emo, but I am not. You don't have to be like an expert at what looks emo and what looks punk. Just ask the person and that's it. And if you're ever listening to a band and you're wondering what kind of music this is, just look it up. Sometimes you just cannot really hear what kind of music it is. I'm really bad at hearing what kind of music is what. As I said, I'm not an expert at those kind of things. I just know that I like goth music and I like rock and metal, but I do not really know exactly every song what kind of type of music that is. Something that is also not goth is just any random person wearing black clothing or having black hair. I believe I saw this in my comment section before. Someone said they went out in just a full black outfit. They aren't goth or any alternative kind of thing, but someone asked them if they were goth, and it's not like everyone who wears black is necessarily a goth. Some people can just have that outfit for one day and not listen to that kind of music, you know. Sometimes you wear a full pink outfit, sometimes full black. That is just a normal people thing. So anytime you see anyone with black hair and a black outfit, you do not have to assume that they are necessarily an alternative person. They're just wearing clothes in a certain color. That doesn't have to mean anything. Another really common misconception is that e-girls are goth. Now, I just want to say that not every girl with eyeliner is a goth. Eyeliner is just makeup that a lot of people wear, and it doesn't mean that they are a goth just because they have winged eyeliner. I've talked about this in a previous video, but e-girls are often confused for goths, and goths are often confused for e-girls. But it isn't the same, and I'm not here to say that every e-girl is not a goth. I don't know what music they listen to, so they might be a goth. But that typical e-girl look, however, I do think it looks really pretty, and I do really love that makeup look. it's not a gothic makeup look, it's not typical goth, and not every e-girl is a goth. And I know a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram are using the hashtag goth on all of their pictures and videos, but I do not think that always means that they actually are a goth, because they put goth, emo, grunge, alt, whatever, like all those things in their hashtag. And I'm not sure if they're actually all of that. I think it's mostly because they want to be like on people's pages, like on their For You pages, you know? And they put those hashtags because of that. But no, not every girl online with eyeliner is actually a goth. So just let that be clear. I cannot speak for any individual person because I do not know what type of music they listen to. But a lot of people are kind of assuming that every single girl with a bit of black makeup is a goth online. It isn't. I'm not here to gatekeep. I'm not here to say no one is a goth except for me, but not every eyeliner girl is a goth. So the last thing that I want to mention is people often say, I'm a goth because I am mentally ill. I do not know where this came from, but if you are mentally unwell, you need to go to therapy. You are not a goth, you just need help. A lot of people are kind of assuming that anyone who looks goth is depressed. I have actually heard some goths even say that they are goth, so they are depressed. But like, no, you do not have to be depressed to be a goth. And most goths that I know are not depressed. It's not a typical thing that is part of the subculture. If you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you have any mental problems, please just seek professional help. But do not assume you're a goth because you're depressed, because it kind of gives a weird kind of reputation for goths, because a lot of people assume that I am depressed, that I am feeling unwell because I dress this way and because I call myself a goth. But it's not a thing for us to be depressed. Like, that is not a thing that is part of the culture. So no, mental illness is not a goth thing. So if you want to hear about more misconceptions, I've made 3 videos about the most common misconceptions about goths. So if you want to learn more about the gothic subculture, do check out my videos. So now I will explain what is actually goth. So it is a subculture that is based on music. And the kind of music is kind of hard to explain. And I'm not gonna try and like imitate it. And I do not actually know if I can play any songs in my video because of copyright. Right now I do not earn any money with my YouTube videos because I do not have enough views and whatever for that. But I still want to avoid being copyrighted. So I will just name some bands and artists. And you should just check them out, look them up on Spotify or YouTube and just listen to their music. If you just listen to one song, you can immediately hear what is goth music and that it doesn't even sound the way you probably think it sounds. It does not sound like heavy metal. And I barely even dare to name any bands because there is a lot of discussion about what bands are really goth music and what bands aren't really goth music. So a few bands that I recommend are just the most common and the most well-known goth bands. I think these are really good artists if you're starting to get into the goth music to listen to and to just experience how it sounds. So I would recommend you listen to Joy Division, Bauhaus, Susie and the Banshees, Sisters of Mercy, London After Midnight. Really good band, one of my favorites by far, so do listen to them. And also Type O Negative, which is more kind of gothic metal. Also really cool, also a really good band if you want to get into the goth music. It's really like the type of music that if you listen to it a few times, you will just totally get obsessed with it. So do listen to those bands if you do not know what goth music is. So that is the part about the goth music. Now about the gothic fashion. So this is really hard to talk about because there's a lot of different kind of styles in the goth subculture, like Victorian goth, trad goth, romantic goth, pastel goth. There's just a lot of different ways for goths to dress. So I cannot tell you how a goth is supposed to look. Because the thing about goth is not only that it's music based, it's also about your mindset. It's about being your true self, expressing yourself. It's about freedom. It's about being who you are. And everyone is different, so everyone will look different. So I cannot tell you that you're supposed to look a certain way to be goth. This is the way that I express myself, but everyone looks different. But yeah, the point that I'm making is that the fashion is really different for everyone. It's often like black clothing, dark makeup, sometimes dyed hair, whatever. fishnets, demonias, skulls, crosses, but that is just some of the goths. Like, everyone looks different, you can look different, you do not have to look that way, just do whatever you like if you're a goth. So yeah, I hope I explained this well. I know that a lot of people think about this whole subculture thing in a really different way than I do. Everyone kind of has their own definition for it, because to everyone it kind of means a different thing to be a goth. This is what it means to me. If you want to know more about the goth subculture, do check out my other videos. I make a lot of videos about this. I hope people are not getting tired of me talking about the same thing over and over again. But yeah, if you're interested in it, do check out my other videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing, leave a like and a comment on the video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!